I'm going to go to TradeMachine right after this. It's not a slideshow, but this is not a solicitation to buy or sell any security ever. This is not advice. The results here are provided for general information purposes as a convenience to you, the viewers. The materials are not a substitute for obtaining professional advice from a qualified person, firm, or corporation. I and Capital Market Laboratories are not qualified persons, firms, or corporations. And since we're talking about options, we got more. Trading futures and options involves risk of loss. I'm not going to read the rest of the bullet points. I hope you do and take them seriously. I'll read the last one. The risk of loss in trading can be substantial. Carefully consider the inherent risks of such an investment in light of your financial condition. And finally, you should read the characteristics and risks of standardized options. The results here are provided for general information purposes as a convenience to the viewers. Already said that. And that's it. Okay, no more slides for now. Yay. This is TradeMachine. I think no matter how long you've been a member, whether it's 0 days, 1 day, or some of the OGs out here, 5 years, I think that you'll learn something. I say that because I went through this. It's mapped out with Alicia, our head of product, and she was helping guide me what I should be showing. And to tell you the truth, she showed me things that I didn't even remember. So I was like, okay, this is going to help. So we land on the Today tab, but I don't want to start on the Today tab. The Today tab is the amalgamation in real time of the backtest tab, the scan tab, and the alerts tab. So we can't understand the Today tab unless we understand everything else. So I will start with the backtest tab. If you don't understand the backtest tab, then nothing else in this platform is really going to make sense. So if you're feeling confused, I don't blame you. If you don't understand the backtest tab, it is confusing. So let's not make it confusing. We will start with something very simple. We will do a 3-year backtest, getting long stock in Roku and nothing else. Okay, so just remember that backtest links, right? Backtest, they're static. So these dates, if you were to share this with someone, say, hey, look at this interesting strategy. This doesn't change. So if you send this link to someone or to yourself in an alert and you come back 6 months later, it's going to be these dates. If you want to change it, you can change it by hand or you can just click the buttons at top. But backtest links are static. Okay. All right. Nobody cares about buying stock. So let's just take a look at getting long a call. All right. So this is going to, we'll just do 30 days. This is what it looks like getting long a call every 30 days for Roku. There's no strategy here. Just buy a call. And then after 30 days, buy another call. You want to click on a backtest tile to see the details. So, okay, this at the money call, 8,000%, on a 50% win rate, what is this thing? So you click on it and it will show you the details, right? So there's a summary at the top. The stock was up 866%, 47 bucks. For those of you who are CMAL Pro members, that is an interesting price because that is when we got in. Then you'll see the total return, the average return, meaning the average return of every monthly call, wins and losses. And you can see all the trade details, there's 80 pages of them, and you can just download them all. Or if you click copy, you put them on your clipboard, you go to Excel, just hit paste. It's actually faster. Okay, so this is how you see the details of a backtest. Let us go to settings. This magical little gear. This is where you set your deltas. So I'm going to close this. You notice that it's doing a 60 delta, 50 delta, 40 delta, 30 delta, 20 delta backtest. So that's in the money, at the money, out of the money, further out of the money, and furthest out of the money. Click settings and it's doing those because that's what I put. You can look at your execution fill type, which is a very fancy phrase. Tells you how you want to backtest your trades getting filled. Mid-market, halfway between mid-market and the market, or a market order. We actually used to have it here, which is far more conservative, and feedback, tremendous feedback, said, no, we want the default to be mid-market. So we did it. You can set your commissions here. So your personal commission schedule. And that's that. This is where you put days to expiration. So what is days to expiration? to be clear, days to expiration has nothing to do when an option is traded. It's just the expiry, right? So this is a back test of options that are the closest to 30 days that exist. It doesn't mean anything else. So if I were to put a 1 here, I would not be trading, opening and closing a trade every day. It would just say, find the options closest to 1 day. That's probably a week, right? Okay. Since we're here, you can actually do up to 20 stocks at a time. Now I'm going to show you a feature which you do not have unless you're a Platinum member, and Platinum is closed, but I don't feel like copying and pasting 20 tickers. So I'm going to pull up a portfolio, and you could do this exact same thing. You would just, type in the tickers one at a time. Okay, so I'm just showing you this exact same backtest, 3 years of just buying a call blindly every 30 days in some popular stocks.
Up here, I just want to clear up some confusion here. All TradeMachine Pro members have portfolios now. They can only backtest 20 tickers at a time.
Oh, thank you. So what I just said was not true. Everybody can create a portfolio like mine. You can put the stocks in and save it. And then you can do exactly what I just did. You have a limit of 20. Platinum members have a limit of 100. But sorry, you can do this right now as a TradeMachine member. I don't know if you knew this. Clearly I didn't. If you want to, you can do this right now for any strategy at any time for unlimited number of portfolios. Create your own portfolio and save it. Okay. All right. So here's a bunch of stuff. This is how they all did. I'm not trying to show you this is a good strategy. I'm just trying to show you to use TradeMachine. Let's go back to a single ticker and actually start looking at stuff. Okay. So I'm going to go back to ticker. I'll put NVIDIA since it has a bit more history. And this is just the same kind of dumb thing. Okay. And now I say, gosh, this is a pretty boring strategy, just buying a call every 30 days. Obviously, in a stock that goes up 1,000,000%, it's actually a good idea. That doesn't really help us. What if it was a call spread? I don't know. Get about 50% win rates or less. Fuck it, what if I did call spread? So now I've used another strategy. After this loads, I'm going to show you how it's choosing those strikes. So these. Notice with this 60-40 delta, you're actually getting a win rate over 60% as opposed to what we had before with the naked calls. I don't know why she's being so finicky. I feel like we have thousands of you playing along, which is allowed, but I didn't scale up. All right, I'm gonna let this do its thing. Now, how am I getting this 60-40 delta, 50-30 delta, 40-20 delta while we're at it? What the hell is a delta? Go back to settings. The second row of deltas is the second part of a spread. This goes for any spread: strangle, straddle, put spread, call spread, risk reversal, iron condor, whatever. So 60-40, 60-40. Okay. While we're at it, okay, dude, what is a delta? Indeed, what is a delta? Click here and read what a delta is. It is the moneyness of a stock. So how much an option moves for $1 change in the stock price. Delta is not a constant. It's a function. I'll let you read about it here, but that's how you figure it out. Okay, let's go down. Never trade earnings. I'm going to click that. What is never trade earnings? Good question. I'm going to go back to calls because you guys are playing along and it's crushing TradeMachine. And while we're at it, I'm going to tell Jason that we need to scale up. Hold on 1 second as this crushes me with my patience. Okay. So what is never trade earnings and why are the returns so much better? Never trade earnings means that no matter what strategy you're doing, doesn't matter, the craziest custom strategy you've created, something we've never heard of, doesn't matter, technicals, whatever. It says 2 days before earnings, everything is shut down, the whole kit and caboodle. And it doesn't open again at the earliest until 2 days after earnings. Okay, it's a 4-day window. 2 days before earnings, close. 2 days after earnings, it allows for an open. It may not open. It depends on your technicals and other things. Okay. You can also just do only trade earnings. So the reverse. So this would this would open 2 days before earnings and close 2 days after earnings. And as you can see, as magnificently as NVIDIA has done, the stock and buying calls and call spreads, blah, 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 the best strategy. This isn't really a good strategy. It's a look back bias, but even in look back bias, you'd want to avoid an earnings speculation. Having said that, if you want to test companies that you want to take such a speculation, this is how you would do it. Okay. Now let's go to custom earnings, which is where many of our strategies come from. So I want you to remember these numbers, negative these, okay? Custom earnings allows you to just choose the number of days before and after earnings you trade something. So hypothetically, if I do a trade 2 days before earnings and I get out 2 days after earnings, it should be exactly what we just looked at. So let's see. And here it is. And our boxes have been upgraded. Thank you, Jason. Right? So that's all it is. But of course, our strategies tend to look at things more interesting. So if you really only wanted to trade earnings, like you wanted to be that speculator, you would really just do 1 day before earnings and 1 day after earnings. Why have a 2-day window, for example? Our strategies, of course, are something like 4 days before earnings and still closing before earnings. So it's pre-earnings momentum, for example. Right? So that's how you set those. And you can see in these very, very, very short periods of time, right? 300% just in 14 days. Let's go to open trade when. Right here is when you would set your technicals for opening. Let's do that. Go to the drop-down menu. Let's add a bunch of stuff, whether it makes sense or not. Let's start with the stock price being above the 50-day moving average. Cool, cool. Let's say the stock price, let's see. Let's say something interesting. Let's say the 10-day EMA is below the stock price, which is just a fancy way of saying the stock price is above the 10-day EMA, right? And on and on and on. I don't know what this result's going to be. So here you go. You see we're getting fewer and fewer trades because those technical requirements are met less and less often. Okay. You can just click normal time to get rid of it, or you can go to technical open and start taking things out. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. You can see, by the way, what we've identified in NVIDIA. If you can get a little bit of that short-term momentum as well as being above the 50-day moving average, that's even a better signal for pre-earnings. The bull squeeze, bull mammoth, and bear mammoth, these are described on the Learn tab. I will talk about the Learn tab, but not right now. Being really technical close too. Just as we had a technical open, we can also have a technical close. So we can say only when the stock's above these moving averages and close it when the stock is something else. The moving averages move in a certain way. Of course, in this strategy, we also have it closing 1 day before earnings. So there's a bunch of closing rules. So how does that work? A bunch of closing rules. Which one does TradeMachine use? TradeMachine uses OR. So let's just say if the stock price is above the 5-day EMA, I want to close. But I also have a close that says 1 day before earnings. So which one is it getting used? The one that happens first. Okay, the one that happens first. Okay, I'm going to take off my technical close. Now we come to, nothing special, sorry. Now we can look at our stops and limits. If you want to stop out of a trade or hit a limit and get out, you can do so here. They don't have to be the same number. I tend to use the same number, but you can stop out at 100% gain and close at a 10% gain, whatever, or a loss, pardon me. Okay? And that's what you'll see. And now you can see our results are going higher, going up, win rates are going up. And why is that? Because I properly placed stop and limit on a short-term option trade does generally historically yield edge. Now, let's say you look at this, you're like, you know what? I've just created this whole thing. I'm not going to remember this. I'm not going to remember any of this, the thing and the stops and the limits and the, okay, you can actually just save a strategy. This is available to everyone. So I'm going to call this 14 days pre-earnings, a long call. I save it. Now I can do that strategy. Oh, it'll be here if I load a strategy. Here it is. By the way, if you want to delete a strategy, you have to select it and click delete. We've had people ask that. So that's how you delete a strategy. But I can select it and then I can come back to TradeMachine 37 days later and try this strategy on another stock. Okay. You can always load a strategy. You have unlimited strategies you can save as well. Okay. All right. I'm going to delete this strategy just to make the point. Oops. Okay. Great. Now, finally, last little bit, a custom strategy. Clicking on a custom strategy allows you to edit it if you have one loaded. If you do not have one loaded, it allows you to build one. I will build one of the ones we have from TradeMachine. I think it's called TM Special, but I have a lot. So, okay, this is our, actually, it's a good idea. I should do that one. So this is our strategy where we do a calendar spread. I'll show you what it is. Let me take the stops and limits off. You'll notice that there's only one tile. What happened to all the tiles? Well, we're not looking at multiple deltas now. We're looking at exactly this trade. Exactly this trade. This trade closes when the short-term option expires, and that's it. No more deltas to choose. All right, let's say we looked at this and we thought, I like this strategy. You can add an alert by clicking Add Alert, and we're now on the Alerts tab. Note which alert I'm adding. This is days before earnings, 14 days, right? If I wanted to only do this, if the stock was above the 50-day moving average, then all of a sudden, the alert would say, days before earnings with technicals, and here's the technical.
Hey, Ophir, can you go over days and how that functions for days before earnings? Because that is a frequently asked question.
So TradeMachine's, unfortunately, we roped ourselves into a version of this. So this is calendar days, right? So just normal, what's 14 days before today is 2 weeks. Until we get to 3. Is it 3 or 5? I think it's 5.
Yeah, it's 6 or less.
Right.
Or less than 6. So yeah,
right. So if it's 5 days, 4 days, 3 days, 2 days, or 1 day before earnings, we actually use trading days, right? Trading days is a fancy way of saying excluding weekends. Okay. We thought that made sense because if someone were to put 7 days before earnings, they're thinking a week before earnings. It's not a complicated thing. We also thought if someone put 5 days, we thought they were also meaning a week before earnings. So that's how it works. All right, let's go back to the alert. I can add the alert, no problem. Now here's some cool stuff, which I didn't know. Here's a history of your alerts. If you click history, you can't edit this page. This just shows you every single alert you've had and when it has actually triggered, and thousands of them, right? I mean, maybe thousands. Okay. You can also go to back to manage. If you ever wanted to bulk update your alerts, you want to change your phone number, your email address, you don't have to email support, you can just do it here. So I'm going to set my phone number to 555-555-5555. Magic. My phone number will, there it is. I want to change my email address, do it here. Want to clear your phone number again because you're tired of getting alerts? Fine. You want to delete all your alerts? Do it here. Okay. Let's go to the Pro Scan tab and we can actually start having a conversation about option trading. So now we understand how backtests work, backtest tab, and alerts. But now we want to build our alerts, right? That we just built one, and that seemed like quite a bit of work to build a single alert. So let's talk about how to build your own personal portfolio of alerts. We'll get to the Today tab later. I'm talking about building the things that you want to trade and the tickers you want to trade. So you can choose, I will go to buy ticker after this, but we'll start by strategy. Choose a ticker group. You can do all tickers. It's fine. I'm going to do the NASDAQ 100. I'm going to do the fade the dip. we'll talk about fade the dip later and results from it. So there's a reason I'm doing this. And you can do lots of things. You can search for a ticker to see if it exists. You can sort, whatever. I'm going to choose Okta. You'll see for what reasons, but I want to show you something. People think this is a bug and it isn't. When I do Okta, you say, whoa, 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 whoa. Okta's here 4 times, different wins, different percentage. It's a bug. It's not a bug. It's different backtest lengths. 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 5 year, right? The reason 3 year and 5 year look identical is because between years 4 and 5, this didn't happen. Why didn't it happen? Because Okta wasn't public, right? Okay. So that's why you'll see a ticker many times. It's not a bug. It's a feature. Let's go ahead and click on Okta. So I just went from a scan to the backtest tab, and I'm seeing results for something, and it's not exactly clear what it is. Like what just happened? So what is this fade the dip strategy? So we can start by reading the left-hand side. It looks like we're getting short a put spread. All right. We're going to avoid earnings. Fair. I guess there's some technical trigger. What's that technical trigger? Oh. Has to be the day that the stock crosses up through the 200-day moving average. So it was below yesterday, and it's above today. The stock also has to be above the 10-day exponential moving average, meaning there is short-term momentum, and it cannot be overbought. Aha. These are 30-day put spreads right here. Right? If you look at the strategy, I kind of like the strategy and I don't want to keep going back to the scanner to load it. I'm going to save this strategy. Fade. I never have to remember what fade the dip is again. While we're at it, if you don't want to look at the details and you don't want to go back to the scanner, you don't want to save it, all the details are actually here. Selling a 40-30 delta put spread. You open when the stock is above the 200-day moving average, when yesterday it was below the 200-day moving average. The stock was above the 10-day EMA, and RSI, 20-day RSI is lower than 70, below 70. So you can actually see it right here. These quotes right here, by the way, are real time. So you guys know. You can also see the strategy summary. This is a short put spread with a 50% limit. Oh, there's a limit? There is. The strategy closes when the put spread is at 50%. That means if you sell it at $1 and it goes to 50 cents, it's out. While we're here, just go to 3 years. This is how we can build a portfolio of alerts. Turns out, if I use the scanner, which I did, and I chose a list of companies, which I did, and I took the time to load them, which I am, I can take a look at some trades that worked. It's not just tech names. Nah, it's Coke, Visa, Procter & Gamble, Walmart, JP Morgan, Home Depot, right? Hey, look at this. Let's see if this does well over 1 year. Look at that. You say, well, are these really tradable? They might be. It says there are, in fact, some liquidity problems with 2 of these tickers, Electronic Arts and VeriSign. Let's say we're willing to take that risk, an average trade return of 25% over 30 days. Yes, please. Let's add the alerts. And here we are again at the alerts tab, but notice this. All the tickers are loaded. You can add tickers to this if you want to, right now. Here. I just added the ticker high moment. The technicals are here. What are these technicals again? That's what the technicals are again. Go ahead and save them. We've now just created 12 alerts. Was it 12 alerts? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10. Oh, yeah, it was. Interesting. Let's go back to the Pro Scan tab. We're not done with that guy. Let's go back. Let's try another strategy. MACD momentum, something we'll talk about today as well. This is just a straight down the middle momentum play. Doesn't require like the stock to go down, or anything like that. Okay. Let's pick a company to Okta again. Same thing, we know what this strategy is. It's right in front of us. It's getting along a diagonal. So, well, it's a custom. What do you mean by diagonal? I mean this by diagonal. Right? I know that it has technicals. What are the technicals? Oh, technicals right here. Let's go to technical open. Aha. The standard RSI is below 40, so it's near oversold, possibly oversold. And these are our MACD settings. Since we're here, and this is rather complicated, why don't we do this? Let's save it. This is our MACD. And since I'm here and I thought, gosh, I would love to know how Okta did in Fade the Dip. It's a good question. Select the strategy. So my recommendation for usage is to pick your favorite strategies from the scanner and the strategies you make yourself. Go ahead and save them. And you never really have to load it. Again, you can go to the scanner to see how stocks are doing. Right. But you have the strategy saved. So there's essentially two ways to add a bunch of alerts. You can go to through the Pro Scan tab like we did. Select the scan, try your tickers 20 at a time. Right. That's one way. Let's go back to Pro Scan. There's more to this tab, and it lies right here. Let's say for some reason we really love those 12 tickers. And we want to know everything that's working well. You actually can do it. Once you enter the tickers, TradeMachine will find them for you. This will not show every strategy that has worked. It's filtered by results. In other words, winning trades. Win rates greater than 50%, average returns that are positive. All of a sudden, I can see all these stocks and all the strategies that worked. While we're here, let's talk about these filters. I've got 12 stocks and various strategies. Maybe I want to sort it by the strategy type. Okay, the three inside nap, or if I reverse sort it, the 1 day after earnings drop. If the stock drops hard after earnings, should you buy a put and expect it to go lower? But where you can get really funky is where you can do it in, let's say, the number of wins. Now you're going to get a whole bunch of different strategies, or even better, average return. Like, oh, buy the dip model on Visa works great. Then we go back to Coke with MACD momentum. And again, we can actually just take out and only look at 3 years. So we don't have repeating symbols. We see EA repeating because of 5 and 3. So this is how you can just look at a particular set of symbols. The one thing we don't have here is portfolio. So you can't save this group, unfortunately. Okay. Now we understand the guts of the backtest tab, the alerts tab, and the Pro Scan tab. But wouldn't it be great if someone did this all for you? It would be great if someone did this all for you. For some traders. For some, no, it would not be great. They want a custom list, their own alerts, their own strategies. Some of them have nothing to do with TradeMachine strategies. TradeMachine is not here to sell you on a strategy. We just pre-built some that were back-tested and modeled for convenience. You don't have to use them. Do whatever you want. But for some people, perhaps who have a job, that makes what we just did nearly impossible, unless you want to commit yourself to like TradeMachine University, which some people have. Some people say, I got it. I know what backtesting is. Thanks. It doesn't require that high of an IQ. I got it, dude. Okay, thanks. I looked at the strategies. Got it. Thanks. Can you just show me what's triggering in the tickers that interest me on those strategies? It turns out yes. And this is the Today tab. So first things first, the Today tab is what you see when you log in as a member. It's that way on purpose. And again, for those that can't dedicate an hour or a day to trading or more, this is the answer. Fair question is, thanks, dude. What is the Today tab? What a good question. Turns out we have a link for that. Let's look at it. Okay. The tab shows all backtests for all stocks, all stock tickers in North America that trigger on the day, today, right? But only from 13 of the pre-built TradeMachine scans. Oh, fear. Which 13 scans? These 13 scans. I don't understand what those scans are. Me either. That's why we linked to a video. You can read about any of them by just clicking the explain tab, explain link. But I don't want to be on another page. I don't want to be on another page either. I want to be on the Today tab. and understand what Bollinger by the dip means, or MACD momentum means, or by the sell-off means. Just click explain and you can watch the video. You can notice if you look at the strategies, let me hide this. If you look at Bollinger by the dip, by the sell-off, fade the dip, and just standard by the dip, also MACD momentum, those are there. Those other four are the sort of get long in some way when stocks drop in some pattern strategies. We're going to talk about those later. Okay. And you can also see our pre-earning stuff. It's getting pretty busy, right? Here come earnings. Now, before I go further, it turns out at the top, there's a lot going on. First, you can select which group of tickers you want to see on the page. So you don't want to see tickers from stuff you can't trade maybe, or you're only interested in the Dow stocks because their options are less expensive, the volatility is lower, and you can handle the margin. Click Dow 30. I usually use the largest 500. And usually when I click it, it works. Today, however, since this is a live presentation to thousands of people, it is not working. So I shall recycle. Lovely. I shall try again. Fear is not happy. I'll tell you a story while this is loading. The worst thing that can ever happen during a live presentation is for the thing you're presenting to go down. And that is happening in real time. Let me message our CTO as you patiently await for my blunder. All right. I got verification that it's because you guys are copying me, which I appreciate. Having said that, I can't use this data tab right now. I'm hearing that it's our internet. There we go. Today tab. I'm going to go to the largest 500. And now I'm only going to see companies that are in the largest 500 companies. It's not actually the S&P 500. That index changes. We're actually every day looking at the companies with the 500 largest market caps. Okay, so that we can't call it the S&P 500 because it actually isn't. It's the companies that are the largest market caps. I told you that if you click on any of these, you can understand them. But here's something that a lot of people don't know. You can set alerts from the Today tab. You can see the alerts that I set. I want anytime something's in the largest 500, NASDAQ 100, Dow 30, I want to know Bollinger by the dip, by the sell-off, fade the dip, pre-earnings diagonal, mile long strangle, and the 14-day pre-earnings with technicals. You can set whatever you want, on, off, click, email, and you save your alerts. So this is a second place to save alerts, but it's very specific for the Today tab. We do this because for those that want, you actually never have to go anywhere other than the Today tab. But you better understand what you're seeing. And that's why I started with everything else. Okay. Now, how does something show up here? Okay, it's a good question. For a back test to qualify for a trigger, it must show a win rate above 50% for both 1 year and 3 year time periods, at least 2 wins total over 3 years. And there are also requirements for percent gain, which vary by scan type. But at a minimum, it's a 15% return over 1 year. Let's talk about the nuts and bolts before we get into trading. When do I do this? Okay, I see this, I like it, I want to do it. Now what? All right, I shared Fade the Dip in community today. How? What? Okay. All strategies in TradeMachine, all triggers, open, close, all of it happens 15 minutes before the close. Okay. But in order to have people prepared to do their trades, we send alerts in real time, starting 1 hour after the market opens. We don't send it right when the market opens because that would be bedlam, right? So you may get an alert an hour, 12 minutes after the market opens, but TradeMachine won't enter or not enter until 15 minutes before the close. I have no data to suggest that 15 minutes before the close is better or worse than 1 hour and 12 minutes after the open. I have no data. I can't tell you one way or the other. What I can tell you is that if we're going to present a back tester, it can't say, gosh, I don't know, it just opened whenever. No, it's got to be exact. So when is exact? Exactly when there's the most liquidity in the option market, which is 15 minutes before the close. Okay. Turns out there's more. Notable technical breakouts. Notable technical breakouts are things that are happening. They're not related to options. It's related to stock. It's when stocks are doing certain things which have not been modeled, but which I looked at and I saw that there's a possibility of some edge. Some people would say that it leaned toward it, but p-values weren't 95%, 99%, maybe they're 92%. And so if you're looking for ideas and you want to build on them, you can go here. All right, let's say you say, hey, BABA's oversold. What happens if I click it? This is a stock backtest, right? Everything on the notable technical breakouts is a stock backtest. You say, what happens when Alibaba gets mashed like it is now? Well, what am I looking at? Technical open. Oh, it's when the RSI is below 30. So classic oversold. Well, okay. What if I don't know. What if I got long call spread for 30 days? Aha. So this is something that looks interesting. Wasn't necessarily a scan, but there are vastly more possibilities on the Today tab than just the ones up here. You don't need to use them. Just know that they're there. Last thing, before we get into the more interesting stuff, we will go to the Learn tab. So we've done Today tab, Backtest tab, ProScan tab, Alerts tab, and Learn tab. Let's say you say, yep, you know, Ophir was talking about that fade the dip thing. I don't really remember how we got there. There was some scanner thingamajiggy. Yeah. So you can just type in fade the dip. And there it is. Okay. Or he said that thing about Delta, what was that thing? Delta. Okay. So you can use the Learn tab to look for things. We will be building out the Learn tab in the near future, and we have been building it out recently. We just don't tell you. Last thing before I go to the slideshow, say, dude, what about the Create tab? That's a good question, but you can see what it's all about by clicking Watch. What is this Create page? We actually did a full webinar on this tab alone, so I'm not going to cover it again. And if you're a TradeMachine member, you may never need it. Depends on how you like to trade, but it's up to you. This is where you would start to create technicals and look on charts. People like to read charts for themselves, build their own stuff. If you want to build your own technical strategy, step by step, see if it's worth it, instantaneously have computations. This is sort of virtual edge, right? This is the Create tab. It's too long to go over in this webinar, but you can always learn about it if you go there, or, oh, I think this is actually missing on the Create tab, on the Learn tab. Oh, it's right there. No, it is. Okay, so that's our bad. In order to learn about the Create tab, you actually have to go to the Create tab and click this. We should have that in the Learn tab, but that's our bad. Okay, these are the nuts and bolts of TradeMachine.